Hi, I'm so glad that you guys are here. It's fabulous to see you. So, love PowerPoints. This is like the coolest thing ever. I want one of these. Let's see, sure. I want it so much it's not working. Oh, what is energy healing, right? Does it make you just sort of go, huh? What are you talking about? Energy healing is something that works with the energetic level of our being. Okay, I'm not good at this. There we go. What does it do? So, energy healing is a process that clears out blocks in the energy field. It repairs, it rebalances. Really the goal of any kind of healing is so that you can function at your optimal level, right? That's the whole point. And so that's what energy healing does, is it works within your energetic field. So when we think, what are we? We know this, right? We're mind, body, and spirit. We at least know this, those of us who are here. Maybe not everybody gets that, but we know we're three different things. We're not just a body, and we're certainly not just a mind, right? Spirit is an important part of who we are. When we think of ourselves, we can think of ourselves as a three-part whole. So here's our body, our soul, or our personality, and our spirit. All of the things that are important to us in life. So we are a spirit, we have a soul, and we live in a body. That part you already know. There's all different kinds of energy healing. You guys have probably heard of Reiki, you've heard of acupuncture. Both of those are types of energy healing. There's also chakra balancing. Who here has had a chakra check today? Yay! Yes, it's right. Isn't that crazy? You're like, oh my God, what did you figure out? Right. So we have a chakra system. Flower essences, that's not something that I do, but the Bach flower essences are a part of energy healing. They're pretty cool. And then crystal healing, which is one of the things that we use in the kind of energy healing that I do, and other kinds of body work. So, any of you guys ever heard of an aura? You know, someone says, "Oh, I can see your aura." Yeah. I don't see auras for what it's worth. So anyone who does see an aura, like, wow, I need to learn from you because I want to be able to see that. So I don't see it as an aura. We tend to think of auras as associated with a color, right? But what I do is pretty similar. So our energy field, or what people call an aura, surrounds us. That's what surrounds our body, our physical body. And there's different levels of it. That's what is often talked about as subtle bodies. So your emotional body or your spiritual body. If you think about it, it's sort of like layers. Like if you imagine that you were an onion, you have a lot of layers. You have your physical body layer, and that's got energy associated with it. And then you have your emotional body layer, and that has energy associated with it. And you have your spiritual body, and that has energy associated with it. I know, I don't really want to think of myself as an onion either, but you know, you get the idea. What's something else that has layers? I don't know. Artichoke? Does that have layers? I don't know. Okay. Onion, artichoke, something. All right. Here's a picture. This is an awesome picture that begins to show you really good energy flow. Okay? And in fact, if you look, see how that goes up and around? That's someone whose energy field is working really well, working exactly the way that we want it to. And this happens to be a quote from Deepak, so in case you can't read it, I'm going to read it to you. There's been a revolution in how we perceive the body. What appears to be an object, a three-dimensional anatomical structure, is actually a process, a constant flow of energy and information. And that's what you're seeing here. That's the flow of energy and information that works through your energetic body. Here's a picture of the chakra system. So if you're not familiar with the chakra system, we have 7 major chakras that go throughout our body. They start down here at the root chakra, then we have the sacral chakra, Then we have the solar plexus chakra, the heart chakra, throat chakra, what's called the third eye, and then the seventh chakra. There's more than that, but those are the 7 that people work with. You hear about chakras if you go to yoga, if you have a Reiki session, and definitely if you come for shamanic energy healing, we work within the chakras. That's how we did that chakra check. I know. They're sitting back there and they're like, oh wow, we got our chakras checked and we could not believe what you saw. It's like magic. It isn't magic though. What it is dipping into and working with the energetic parts of who we are. There's new science, and I apologize for not having the records, but there's new science that's actually measuring the energy that comes from our body. So, how many of you have walked into a room and said, oh God, I don't want to be here. Like, this just does not feel good. Anyone ever had that experience? You're like, get me away? Yeah, that's your energy body, right? You're picking up on someone else's energy. Alternatively, you meet somebody and they suddenly feel like your best friend. You're like, oh my God, I love them. I don't even know them and I love them, right? You have that instant feeling of connection. That's your energy body too. That's your energy connecting with the other person's energy. So if your friend of mine who's here is now going to be living in New York City, she likes to be in New York City. When I'm in New York City, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to bring all my energy inside, because, right, I don't want anybody in my energy field. But if you're someplace where you're comfortable, ooh, you expand your energy field, and you're like, oh, hi, it's so good to see. She's like, oh no, get out of my energy field. I know, right? So we can pick up on that. We can tell, right? That's part of what your third eye or your intuition is doing. It's reading that energy, your energy and the interaction with somebody else's energy. Oops, forgot I had this in my hand. So what's in our energy field? If you've gone through it, it's in your energy field. If you've had physical illness, if you've had traumas early in life, yesterday, ancestrally through your heritage, everything that we go through lives in our energetic body. And it has an impact on how we function. So I'm a psychologist and a shaman. So psychologically, I would say, well, yeah, you know, if I come from a long history of people who've really struggled with a particular issue, well, it makes sense, you know, that issue might be there for me, or the exact opposite of that issue might be there for me. But I've got some connection to that. From an energetic healing perspective, it's the same thing. So things that have gone on in our family's past can sort of leave a residue over the years that can get passed down to us. We think of that as ancestral energy. And then again, as I said, anything that we go through leaves an impact. So it's sort of like, if you imagine for a second, forget the onion, let's imagine that your energetic body is like a clear piece of lucite, right? And so that's it. So now you're going along and you fall. Let's say emotionally you fall, right? You fall, and what happens to that piece of lucite? It gets a little nick in it, right? Or a scratch or something, like it's not really looking as clear and beautiful as it did. That's what's happening energetically. As we go through our life and things happen, they sort of leave some nicks and scratches, or you know, sometimes a big old divot in our energetic body. And so what we do in terms of energy healing is we're pulling out the energy that no longer serves you. And very important here, we don't just say, oh, here's the energy that doesn't serve me, and poof, I'm gonna give it to you because I don't like you. That would be wrong. We don't do that. And what we do is we say, okay, here's the energy that's no longer serving me, let's say, and we give it back to the earth. So the training that I have is in shamanism, based on the Q'ero shamans who are from the Andes in Peru. And that is all connected to working with all of the elements, the earth, all sorts of animals, and some particular archetypes, as well as the sun, the moon, the stars, water, everything. So when I take out energy that no longer serves you, What I'm doing is giving it back to the earth so that it can be what I call soul compost. So the earth takes that energy that doesn't serve me and mulches it and then allows it to be available as energy for someone else. Sort of like when you have compost. You didn't want your leftover spaghetti or your tops of your tomatoes, but they're going to be good for the soil and you're going to grow something really fabulous out of that earth. Same thing with our energy, because energy isn't good or bad. It's either serving us or no longer serving us. But just because it doesn't serve me doesn't mean it isn't exactly what somebody else needs in their life. So we pull out the energy, we give it back to the earth, and then we bring in light, positive white energy, bring that into the body so that it begins to heal and fill up. I have been known to refer to this, shamanism, as sort of Reiki on steroids, which is not at all an appropriate way to do it. But people have heard of Reiki. They're like, oh yeah, I get Reiki, I get you sort of get that light, and work in the light and energy, and I get that. But when I say shamanism, people are like, what? What do you do? That seems weird. Okay, I don't take drugs, and I don't use ayahuasca. There is plant medicine shamanism, but that's not part of what I do. That's part of some people's tradition, but not mine. So I realized that if I started to say, well, it's sort of like Reiki Plus, then that made a little more sense, because people had some clue what I was talking about. So, oh, did you see that thing about false beliefs, by the way? Oops. Right, false beliefs. Any of you who have ever struggled with how you feel about yourself? Any of you who have ever gotten it in your head, oh, I just can't do that? Those are false beliefs. I'm looking at somebody that I know who's had that, okay? So we store those false beliefs in our energetic body. And so part of what this can do also is pull some of those out. This goes beyond just working with the chakras. It's working with the entire energetic body. So as I mentioned, I'm trained in the Peruvian tradition of the Keros, and that's based on the Incan cosmology. And as I mentioned, there are archetypes. So there's a lower world, a middle world, and an upper world. And in the middle is the association of what we really Pacha, right, the earth, and the Apus, the mountains. So that's the history. I won't go into it a lot, but if you want to know more about it, stop by 506. We'll talk, call me, I'll tell you everything you want to know. And probably more than that. I would love to talk about this. That's them. Aren't they adorable? I love them. They're so happy. They're amazing. And I love their colors. Pink, I like it. Okay, so I actually have met all four of these, and unfortunately, the woman on the end is very recently deceased. They're phenomenal shamans. And what they're doing right now is what's called the despacho ceremony, which is a ceremony of receiving and blessing. So, in the work that I do, we use what's called a mesa, which is basically, in other cultures, what you would think of as a medicine bundle. And it has stones that I've worked with, which are now in Quechua, which is the language of the Kero shaman. The stones are called huacas, which are healing stones. So, as you can see, there's a cloth and there's a bunch of stones inside of the cloth. So that's my healing medicine bundle. And we do a lot with this. This is the rattle. One of the things that's important about the rattle, or about any sound, is that any repetitive sound that happens at 4 to 7 hertz per second is what instills a meditative state. The big thing about shamanism is that we use journeying, which is connecting to the universal energy. And we do it through rattling or drumming. We also use the rattle or crystals to pull out energy that doesn't serve us. Just so that you don't think this is entirely made up, I wanted you to know that there's a connection to this world that we're in right now. So in fact, shamanism is based on an understanding of universal energies, archetypes, and body sensations, paying attention to what you feel in your body. Jung, really big psychologist from a long time ago, he had this whole thing about the collective unconscious. Oops, that's what the shamans believe. He also has all this work on archetypes. Same thing. And today, positive psychology and sensory motor psychotherapy are two really big things in the field of psychology. And both of those have to do with the same things that shamanism is based on. So frankly, psychology sort of comes from that same beginning as shamanism, but shamanism was around first. The recent studies in quantum physics are what are telling us that there's more to energy and there's more connection between things than we know. So what energy healing can do is really release some of those traumas, sort of buff up that acrylic energy body, even though it isn't really acrylic, but you get the idea. And then it can also alter those beliefs that you have and your path of destiny. And that's what I think is one of the most exciting things about it. I wanted to leave some time for questions, so what can I tell you guys? What would you like to know? I know that was really quick. If I had a lot more time, I would tell you all the really super cool stuff, but what's something I can tell you?
When you're doing your energy healing, can you eradicate what person has had in their past that's negative? If so, how many treatments do you need?
That's a great question. And the answer is it really depends on the person and what it is. Some things are really easy and it's just sort of a transformative moment in your life. And I'm going to give you an example. Okay. So I don't know how to put this politely. A woman came to see me and she had emotional issues and they were causing a lot of difficult digestive and bowel issues. Okay, that's the best way I could put that. We did one session and she'd been having those nonstop for about 4 months. After one session, none. And I know this because she called me and then referred 2 other people to me. She's like, oh my God, I'm going to the bathroom regularly now. She was really happy. Can I tell you, sorry. But for her, this was a big deal because the physical manifestation was connected to what was going on energetically. So for her, it was just one session. But for somebody else, we do some clearing, we take some energy out, maybe we do a destiny retrieval, and then they go and live their life, and maybe they go back to doing stuff that aren't really good for them. And so it doesn't get as clear, because if we stay open to the negative energy that we see, and that's where I'm a big believer in positive psychology and I bring them together. If we're focused on the negative and we don't change and alter our perspective, we're going to repeat that same thing again. So you can come and you can pay me and I can do it and then go live exactly the way you've been doing and you're going to come back and pay again. And that's not my goal. My goal is for you to come in and feel better.
Can you control your chakra, like putting it in your feet or putting it somewhere in the body?
So our chakras are based in a specific place in our body, but the energy flows all the way up and around and down and through, just like that picture we looked at. So you're not actually taking it out and moving it, because that would be a little weird, and that's where that center is. And it's connected by what are called meridians, so that's what they work with in acupuncture. So that goes in and out. So we can't actually move it, but what we see when a chakra isn't flowing the way we want it to, it sort of gets stuck, right? So it's like, I'm not really moving. And what we do is clear up that energy so that the flow is exactly what it wants. Because you know those moments when you're feeling really good, everything's in flow. So our 20 minutes is over, and I'm really sorry that I have to go, but I have loved talking to you guys. If you haven't stopped by 506, I'd love to talk to you in person, and thank you so much for coming here today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Christina Hallett. Again, we've got a lot of great things going on today. We've got a yoga demonstration up next in about 10 minutes. Don't go anywhere, we're going to enjoy that.